Amy Sykes, and I am going to be talking today about the issue of nurse bullying. I will be referencing an article from 2019 entitled Our Own Worst Enemies, The Nurse Bullying Epidemic by Cole Edmondson and Caroline Zalanka. Unfortunately, nurse bullying is a systemic problem. It starts in nursing school, will likely continue throughout your career. I'm sure you've heard to it as eating our young. I know I did. Bullying, unfortunately, is likely to occur in high stress situations that have high stakes, heavy workloads, low job autonomy, which is exactly nursing. That's pretty much the definition. High stakes, you have patients' lives. Heavy workload, you probably have too many patients at some point in your career. And low job autonomy, you have to follow those physician orders. So it lends itself to a bullying atmosphere, unfortunately. This bullying is associated with increased patient care errors, higher cost of care, higher turnover, lower patient satisfaction scores, and preventable adverse events, all of which the hospital want to avoid. So, what exactly is bullying? The ANA defines it as a repeated, unwanted, harmful accusation intended to humiliate, offend, and cause distress in the recipient. The key word there is repeated. Everybody has a bad day. It's absolutely not excusable. However, if this is a pattern of behavior, then that's a bully. Overt bullying is easier to identify. This is the person that's calling you names, it's doing verbal criticism, insulting, just obvious in their bullying tactics. Covert bullying is that sneaky person on the floor that's passive aggressive. They're spreading rumors, they're spreading gossip about you, they're withholding information you need to know, doing unfair assignments, giving undesirable tasks as punishment. There's also vertical bullying, which is from the top down. Managers can be a bully, and that needs to be addressed in the hospital situation as well. There's different types of bullies. The first is a super nurse. I'm sure you've all known a super nurse. It's probably your more experienced or seasoned nurse on the floor. They may communicate with you with a sense of superiority, condescending. They like to correct you in front of others. You have a resentful nurse. This is one that typically holds grudges, that likes to stir up drama. Is probably, your curmudgeon on the floor that you dread getting report from. Your backstabbing nurse. This is one that will pretend to be your friend in the beginning, get information, find that you're doing something incorrect that you weren't aware of, and then use that as a weapon against you. And finally, you have a cliquish nurse. This is one that uses exclusion as a means of aggression. They exclude you from events. They ignore you. They show favoritism to others. It's clear that you're not wanted there. Unfortunately, bullying is actually supported by the environment that you're in oftentimes. Supervisors and managers that lead by intimidation and fear tend to foster the same in their staff. Unfortunately, the behaviors are set and the tone for the floor is set by management. So if you have a manager that's a bully, most likely you're going to have bullies on the floor as well. I will say that managers and middle managers have high pressure positions. They have pressures from patients, from the CNO, from the CFO, from the board, from their own staff, and all that pressure leads to added stress. They have very little training oftentimes in formal ethics or management techniques, and they're challenged by bullying behaviors. They don't know how to address it. They don't know how to properly respond. And it's very unfortunate if you're on a floor that has bullies. A few interesting statistics for you. 60% of nurses leave their first job due to negative behaviors of their coworkers. It's been estimated that 78% of nursing students have experienced bullying in nursing school, and that over half of nursing students have reported seeing or experiencing nurse-on-nurse bullying during clinicals. Finally, the most staggering one to me is that 43% of newly licensed nurses leave their job within the first 3 years. We can't afford this as nurses. We have a very large baby boomer population, a very sick population up and coming. We need all the nurses that we can get. In addition to just a nursing shortage, there's a high cost associated with this. It's estimated that it costs a hospital between 4.4 to 7 million in turnover. bullying doesn't help this situation, and that it's also been linked to health issues for nurses, headaches, illnesses, depression, anxiety, um, increased absenteeism, impaired relationships. And unfortunately, nurses have committed suicide due to the bullying. It decreases the quality of care that the patients receive. It decreases the collaboration between nurses. It threatens our patient safety. It threatens nurses' own physical and mental safety. So now that we've addressed what exactly bullying looks like, how do we combat it? The first thing is acknowledge bullying exists. As managers, you need to address that bullying exists. Bullying can't thrive once it's been acknowledged. There has to be an absolute zero tolerance for bullying, identifying specific behaviors so expectations are clear. This includes like social media policies. Bullying just doesn't happen on the floor. It can also happen outside of work, and there needs to be an absolute zero tolerance like schools have for bullying. We need to hold each other accountable. Don't be the bystander that allows the bully to continue their behavior. Speak up. And finally, we need to foster that environment where people do feel the ability to speak up, to report bullying. And once it's reported, it needs to be addressed immediately, taken seriously and addressed immediately. I hope you found this information helpful. I hope you think about this with your interactions with new nurses, with float pool nurses, with the travel nurses. Oftentimes they get excluded, they get the worst assignments, they don't get our help. We really need to stop and think and stop eating our young. Nobody went into healthcare to hurt other people, and we need to make sure our actions aren't hurting others. Thanks so much for watching.